Policies. VG Meets has an employee handbook as well as some other important policies. Our policies are clear and concise, and above and beyond your employment agreement, they set out additional terms and conditions of your employment with us. We'll have an opportunity to review and discuss some of our policies on your first day and first week of work. But prior to that, we want to share some with you now to ensure you are set up for success prior to your start date. Open door. If you have ideas, suggestions, or concerns, please contact your supervisor or someone from our senior management team. You will always be treated fairly and the lines of communication will always stay open. Employee benefits. We offer the following benefits to our employees: employee discounts on store product, free coffee and water, and online learning opportunities through audiobooks, as well as Udemy, which gives you access to more than 130,000 online courses. Transportation and parking. All employees will be responsible for their own transportation to and from work. Public transit is not available in our area. Instructions on where to park will be given to you when you start work. Personnel files. Your personnel file is a record of facts about you and your job. Included in your personnel file would be documents such as tax forms, your resume, interview notes, reference checking documents, disciplinary action documents if you have any, and personal information shared as part of the onboarding process, such as banking and emergency contact details. Your signed employment agreement would also be kept in your personnel file. Your file is kept confidential and only accessed by Human Resources and the Finance Manager for the administration of your employment. Visitors. All visitors to VG Meets are to check in prior to being allowed access to our spaces. Smoking. Smoking is only permitted in the designated smoking area outside. We ask that you be respectful and use the ashtray that is provided. Employees are only permitted to smoke on breaks and during lunchtime. If anyone is caught smoking on other areas of the property or at a time that is not scheduled, then disciplinary action will be taken. Dress code. All employees of VG Meets must dress in appropriate work clothing that is safe and best suited to the conditions of their position. Dress in layers that will allow you to adjust to the varying temperatures within the plant. For all employees, please no logos, rips, or tears, no jewelry, no nail polish. Please be scent-free, and no chewing gum. For retail employees, non-slip shoes are required. Black or white shirt is allowed. Black washable dress pants or jeans with no rips or tears. No yoga or exercise pants are allowed. A black sweater, but please no hoodies. And hair must be tied back at all times. VG Meets will provide coats and a red hat and hairnet. Production employees, non-slip boots, please. Pants void of rips or tears. And VG Meets will provide a white coat. Cell phones and electronic devices. All personal electronic devices, including cell phones, are not permitted in work areas due to safety regulations and the potential for distraction. You must be able to listen and communicate with your fellow coworkers, plus be able to hear equipment. If you need to use an electronic device, it must be done at breaks or lunchtime on your time in the designated break areas. You will note that supervisors and other permitted staff carry cell phones for work-related purposes. We ask that you advise your family or friends of our office telephone number in case of emergency and if they need to reach you. The phone number is 519-426-2000. Alcohol, drugs, and weapons. Alcoholic beverages, drugs, illegal substances, as well as weapons will not be tolerated at VG Meats. Disciplinary measures will be immediately enforced by management. In addition, at the discretion of the management team, the police or other authorities may be contacted. Housekeeping and cleanliness. Wash your hands thoroughly before and after eating, smoking, and before entering or returning to work. You are provided with a clean and tidy lunchroom. We ask that you keep it that way. Put all your unwanted garbage from your lunch into the proper containers. If you should happen to spill something, please clean it up. White and black coats will be laundered at VG Meats. When putting work jackets in the laundry, please make sure to empty all pockets. We at VG Meats strive to provide our employees with a clean place to work. It is requested that all staff maintain the cleanliness of their work area. Discard materials in an appropriate manner, keep personal effects neat and tidy, and straighten work areas at closing time. Social media. VG Meats employees who maintain personal social media pages or accounts are required to comply with these guidelines as they relate to their association with VG Meats. Employees will be held accountable for what they write or post on any social media outlet or internet page. Inflammatory comments, unprofessional remarks, or disparaging statements made about the organization, our employees, customers, vendors, or competitors may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Employees should follow the guidelines below when making posts or comments on any social media site, whether it is public or private. Employees are expected to conduct themselves professionally on social media both on and off duty. Wherever a staff member publicly associates with the company, all content posted on their accounts may reflect on the company. Please be advised that inappropriate comments, photographs, links, etc. should be avoided. Posts involving the following will not be tolerated and will be subject to individual disciplinary action. Proprietary and confidential company information, discriminatory statements or sexual innuendos regarding coworkers, management, customers, or vendors, and defamatory statements regarding the company, its employees, customers, vendors, or competitors. Where an employee mentions the company, they will be required to include a disclaimer stating that any opinions expressed are the employee's own and do not represent the company's position, strategies, or opinions. Employees that use these sites are prohibited from disseminating any private organizational information or any negative comments regarding the organization. VG Meats staff are prohibited from speaking on behalf of the organization, disclosing confidential information, or releasing news or communications as a representative of the organization without prior authorization to act as a designated VG Meats representative. Use of personal social media may not conflict with any of the VG Meats existing policies whatsoever. This includes, but is not limited to, the standards of conduct policy and confidentiality policy that you'll review during your first days of work. Employees are prohibited from using social media during regular working hours, except for work-related activity, and that must be approved in advance, or of course on breaks or at lunchtime. Bulletin board. VG Meats posts all current policies in the staff lunchroom. We ask that you check this board often to keep up to date on company news along with health and safety policies and news as well. Pay periods. VG Meets has a bi-weekly pay schedule. Our weeks run from Sunday to Saturday. Payroll checks and pay stubs for direct deposit are released on Fridays, and Thursday if Friday happens to be a statutory holiday. For direct deposit, a void check or banking information is required. If you should require extra deductions from your pay by Canada Revenue Agency, please provide written direction to the office. Breaks. Each employee will get 2 15-minute paid breaks for an 8-hour shift. Lunch. Each employee will get a 30-minute unpaid lunch for an 8-hour shift. Timekeeping. It is the responsibility of each employee to ensure they punch in and out and maintain the appropriate work location. Should punches be incorrect and not brought to the attention of the office staff, an automatic 30-minute lunch and 2 15-minute breaks will be posted for an 8+ hour shift. Reporting sickness or lateness. If you are unable to make it to work due to sickness, lateness, family member's illness, or an emergency, it is your responsibility to contact management as soon as possible. For Simcoe, call 519-426-2000. For Stony Creek, call 905-664-2020. Please leave your name and reason why you are unable to make it into work that day. The following will result in disciplinary action: failing to arrive to work on time for your scheduled shift, no-show or not showing up for your scheduled shift, failing to call in before the start of your shift if you are not able to make it to work that day. Vacation time and time off. It is the employee's responsibility to file a time off request form for any and all time they would like off except for statutory holidays and Sundays. Vacation time off requests are paper copies left in the lunchrooms. They are to be filled out and handed in to your direct supervisor for approval. Vacation time off requests must be submitted at least 2 weeks prior to allow for a review. Please note that, unfortunately, we may not be able to approve all requests for time off. Safety rules. All employees must always adhere to the general safety rules. Supervisors must ensure that all employees have been trained and are working in compliance with the general safety rules. The general safety rules are posted on the safety board in the lunchroom. You'll also be trained on our general safety rules. Reporting all injuries. Every employee of VG Meets is obligated to report any work-related injury, no matter how big or small, immediately after it occurs to their supervisor. Employees and their supervisor will work together to ensure that a first aid report is completed and that details relating to the accident and the type of treatment given are included. In some cases, a professional medical evaluation or treatment is required. We will either transport you or arrange for you to be transported to professional medical aid. 2 forms must be taken with you and be completed by the attending physician. Firstly, a functional abilities form, and secondly, a worker's claim and consent form. The worker is also obligated to cooperate in their own healthcare treatment and to participate actively in our Return to Work program. If you seek medical attention for a work-related injury after completing work for the day, you are required to report back to your manager by phone immediately. The necessary forms must be completed and returned to VG Meets the next day. Return to work. VG Meats will make every reasonable effort to provide safe, meaningful, modified work that is within your physical limitations as indicated by your attending physician. Employees are obligated to accept all modified work duties that fall within their physical capabilities and are in line with medical documentation. Workplace violence and harassment. VG Meats is committed to providing a safe and healthy work environment free from violence, threats of violence, discrimination, harassment, including sexual harassment, intimidation, and any other misconduct. Similarly, weapons are strictly prohibited from the company's premises and violators will be subject to disciplinary action and the incident will be reported to the police. It is also a violation of VG Meats' anti-violence and harassment policy for anyone to knowingly make a false complaint of violence or harassment or to provide false information about a complaint. Individuals who violate our policy are subject to disciplinary and/or corrective action, up to and including termination of employment. The policy prohibits reprisals against individuals acting in good faith who report incidents of workplace violence or act as witnesses. Management will take all reasonable and practical measures to prevent reprisals, threats of reprisal, or further violence. Reprisal is defined as any act of retaliation, either direct or indirect. VG Meats will ensure that all employees are trained and educated on violence and harassment, and that they are clear about the roles and responsibilities, as well as our policy and procedures. In addition, a copy of our policy will be made available to all employees. Communicable disease. Please inform your supervisor immediately if you have or suspect you may have a communicable disease, which can be transmitted through food. Symptoms of communicable disease include frequent sneezing or coughing, diarrhea, jaundice, vomiting, or sore throat with fever. If you become ill, you will be allowed to return home or be reassigned to other responsibilities which do not involve food handling. In the case of a reportable or serious communicable disease diagnosed by a physician, you will be asked to bring a doctor's note upon return to work which states your readiness to resume activities. Cuts and sores. Please inform your supervisor when you have cuts or sores. The cuts or wounds must be completely covered by a waterproof wound strip or a bandage. If you have an open or infected sore on your hand or wrist, it must be covered by a dry, impermeable bandage and a single-use glove. If the affected portion is on the arms, it must also be covered with a dry, impermeable bandage. Any other location must be protected by a dry, tight-fitting bandage. Never touch sores or cuts and always wash your hands thoroughly if changing bandages. Hygiene. You must wash your hands before handling the meat and immediately following sneezing, using the washroom, following coffee or lunch breaks, or touching your eyes, hair, mouth, nose, or any unclean surface. Gloves must always be worn when handling RTE products. Hands and gloves must be washed and sanitized before handling RTE products. Remove watches, rings, and any jewelry before working with food, as it could fall in the product. Fake eyelashes, artificial nails like acrylics, gels, and silks, and nail polish are absolutely not permitted. Wear clean outer garments, including a toque and a cap, hair nets, and if applicable, beard nets. Aprons should be changed or cleaned when dirty, or at minimum once daily. After working in an area with raw meat, you must change your apron and wash your hands before entering the RTE area. Smoking, eating, drinking, and chewing tobacco or gum are not permitted in food preparation areas. Gloves should be inspected on a periodic basis and replaced if punctures, cuts, or tears are found. If you observe any product which is potentially contaminated by personnel or is dropped, please report it to your supervisor. Contaminated product must be destroyed, and any contaminant food contact surfaces must be cleaned and sanitized right away. Confidentiality in pay and salary. At VG Meats, we expect very good work from all of our employees. Part of being a very good team member is exercising good judgment and respect. In accordance with our general operation policies and procedures, you must bring any questions or concerns directly to management. We would like to clarify that this includes questions and discussions around employee compensation. It is expected that you will keep all information about your own compensation, including hourly rate, increases, and bonuses, strictly confidential at all times. You may bring any questions, requests, or concerns to the management team at any time. Management has an open door policy that remains available to you as an employee always. Discussing your compensation with any other employee is a direct violation of our policy and will be grounds for immediate disciplinary action up to and including termination. Your cooperation with this policy is expected and required. Accessibility. VG Meats is committed to excellence in serving all of our customers, and we strive at all times to meet the accessibility needs of persons with disabilities in a timely manner and to provide our goods and services in a way that respects the dignity and independence of people with disabilities. In addition, VG Meats is committed to equal treatment with respect to employment. It is a responsibility of all team members of VG Meats to comply with the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act and the Ontario Human Rights Code and our accessibility policy, to treat all people with dignity and respect, and to provide additional assistance where and when necessary in order to help those requiring accommodation. Disciplinary action. You are always to follow all the rules in our handbook and other policies. Following the rules is important for your safety, the safety of others, and the operation of VG Meats. The more often you fail to follow the rules, the greater the level of discipline. The seriousness of your offense will also determine the level of discipline. Your entire record will be looked at when deciding on the discipline required. We strive to act in a fair and unbiased manner in all such cases. With some exceptions, typically the process works like this. The first offense is a verbal warning. The second offense is a written warning. The third offense is suspension from work without pay for up to 3 days. The fourth offense is a loss or termination of your employment. Records of all progressive discipline will be kept in the employee's personnel file. Actions that result in disciplinary steps include, but are not limited to, the following: failing to arrive to work on time, no-show or not showing up for a scheduled shift, not calling into work prior to the start of your shift if you're going to be late or absent, or a violation of any VG Meats policy. Good manufacturing practices. Good manufacturing practices are the basic operational and environmental conditions required to produce safe foods. GMPs address the hazards associated with personnel and environment during food production and provide a foundation for any food safety system. At VG Meats, we ask that all staff help enforce these practices by participating in following these standard requirements. Wash hands thoroughly before and after work periods and at any time they become soiled or there is a threat of cross-contamination. Remove all jewelry. Wear clean, intact gloves with no holes, rips, or tears. Wear the required and proper personal protective equipment or PPE, including coats, eye and ear protection, hard hats, hair nets, beard nets, and boots. Keep track of all work equipment. Butchers must keep their gloves and other job-specific equipment accounted for at all times. Maintain overall personal cleanliness. Do not take your cell phone into the bathroom or any work area unless you are cleared to do so by the general manager. Do not use headphones or earbuds in work areas. Do not partake in eating, drinking, chewing products, or smoking while in manufacturing, packaging, testing, and storage areas. Store clothing and other personal effects like cell phones in the lockers provided to you. Clean your work area frequently and keep it free of excess debris. Work as a team to maintain these practices. VG Meets has other policies, and we will review those with you as part of your training during the first day and first week of work. We also update and add new policies from time to time. We will share those updates and new policies with you.